Welcome to the Mike's Madness YouTube channel. This is the first episode of the fourth hour, and this is going to be a weekly episode that I put out for my in extension to my radio show, my weekly radio show with WIXQ on Sunday morning, 7 to 10 a.m. And the fourth hour episodes will basically just be an extension again of the radio show, and just be stuff that I didn't get to on the weekly show. And that is just going to be the fourth hour, well, what the fourth hour is used for. There will be many more kind of episodes and videos on this channel other than the fourth hour, but the fourth hour will be a weekly show. And the today's episode is the first episode of the fourth hour. And in today's fourth hour, we'll be getting to the NFL Combine, the NFL Draft, free agency coming up, and the CBA. And I apologize for this audio. I'm going to be working on it. It's going to be an ongoing thing that I'm going to have to be working on, and it probably sounds a little echoey, and again, I apologize for that, but I'm in one of the study rooms on campus right now, and definitely not as good as the radio studio. Let's just put it that way. I don't get how it can be so echoey in here. I tried doing it in my dorm room. That probably would work, but I would have to do it when there's nobody there. Right, and I am in a single suite, but the problem is, again, I could do it in my dorm room, but I thought that this would be a little bit better, so that way I could, that way if my roommate is on the phone with anybody or anything like of that sort, that way that wouldn't get any of those little distractions in the audio. But again, though, you could probably just heard that. So it's I'm going to be looking for somewhere to record these episodes, and if anybody knows of a good place to go, just let me know, because I'll definitely be looking for a better place to go. And yeah, it's just this is not something that I want to definitely be doing all the time. And so with that being said, let's get right into it. Again, this is the first episode. It's only going to get better from here, I hope. This is my second time recording this episode, and I just want to think it'd be great for you guys to know that. The first time, as I said, the audio, I tried using my microphone on my earbuds, and that was an absolute disaster. It sounded like I was using a 90s television. It sounded like it just was absolutely horrible. So with that being said, let's get right into the fourth hour episode, the first fourth hour episode, rather. And here you get to see this punter from Arizona State, Michael Turk. He goes for 25 reps on the bench press, and this is something that every player does. They all do the bench press, but this guy, again, he's a punter, not a linebacker, not a defensive end rusher, nothing like that. This is a punter. His name is Michael Turk from Arizona State, and again, 25 reps for 25 reps for 225 pounds on the bench press. And there was a graphic where there were a couple other guys who have done this, and it was more than Jadeveon Clowney, and I'm blanking on the names, but there was a whole bunch more. And really impressive. I mean, it's 25 reps would be impressive for any player, much less a punter. So it'll definitely be interesting to see where he goes in his career. The NFL Combine, continuing with that, the 40-yard dash. These here are the top six guys, top six numbers, and you see at the very top there, Henry Ruggs, the third from Alabama, really fast. 4.27 is a terrific number for the 40-yard dash. And, in this video here, you'll see that the first couple tries, he was, I think, 4 points. Let's see, what did we went for? 4.28. And, again, those are the unofficial numbers. They go back and they, correct it for any errors. And, Henry Ruggs the third will definitely be a guy that goes in either the first or second round. There's no doubt about that. And as I'm about to get to in a second, this year is absolutely stacked with wide receivers. And, I get it every year. Every team, pretty much every team drafts a wide receiver because there's always a ton of wide receivers coming out of the draft. You take a look at the second name here, Quez Watkins from Southern Miss. And I could be pronouncing his name wrong. I've never heard of him before. 4.35 he went for. And then Denzel Mims from Baylor and Darnell Mooney from Tulane, both were 4.38. And then Devin Duvernay and Antonio Gibson went for 4.39. Now, those guys both, I think Duvernay and Gibson will probably both be third or fourth rounders. I think probably late third round, because again, there are so many guys in this draft, in the NFL draft this year for wide receivers. And here are a couple more guys: Chase Claypool, Jerry Jeudy, Donovan Peoples-Jones, C.D. Lamb, K.J. Hill. And look, K.J. Hill, not the best 40-yard dash number, but he still is going to be a good receiver, I think. He is, it's not just about speed. And so many times when we're talking about the combine, we get caught up in these numbers. We get caught up in, you got to have a good number to have a good 40-yard dash number to have a good career. No, that's not necessarily true. These numbers, we go back a slide and you would have seen Henry Ruggs, again, that great 4.27. That doesn't mean he's going to have a Jerry Rice or Randy Moss type career. That doesn't mean any of that. All it means is, hey, he's fast, and Ruggs is an overall good player. And many times we see the combine is used for players who are under the radar and they kind of put themselves out there. Like last year, for terms of wide receivers, we saw DK Metcalf do that for himself. Or I think it was 2 years ago, rather. And where was it last year? I think it was last year, yeah. And I'd never heard of DK Metcalf. I've heard of him, but it wasn't a guy who was on my radar. It wasn't like, oh, this guy's gonna have a really good career. And then he came out and had that monster performance at the combine and did really well. And then he earned a spot on the Seattle Seahawks team and after he got drafted. And so again, this just kind of puts guys on the radar who weren't on there before. You've got, here you go, a couple other notable names here: K.J. Hill, C.D. Lamb, as I mentioned before. And again, this is just a small sample size of all the wide receivers who are out there. You got T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson. The list goes on. So, but these names here you're going to see in the first 3 rounds. Because again, a lot of teams need wide receivers. But those are just a couple more notable names for the 40-yard dash. And again, as you see, Claypool from Notre Dame, Jeudy from Alabama, Lamb from Oklahoma, K.J. Hill, Donovan Peoples-Jones. And looking forward to the draft a little bit, Donovan Peoples-Jones could be a guy that surprises people. I think he might be flying under the radar a little bit. He might have a solid career. Just look out for that. And this is the number. Oh, great! The video won't play, of course. The 40-yard dash for running backs, Jonathan Taylor. This is just, again, a small list of notable names: Jonathan Taylor, Anthony McFarland, Cam Akers, and DeAndre Swift. We did not have J.K. Dobbins run the 40-yard dash, I don't believe. Or if he did, then I didn't see the number from him. But again, Jonathan Taylor and J.K. Dobbins will probably be first-round picks. If there are 2 running backs taken in the first round, it'll be those 2. If it's just the one, it'll most likely be Jonathan Taylor, I think. But again, I think you'll see DeAndre Swift and Cam Akers and Anthony McFarland all go in the second or third round as well. Again, this is kind of going together, kind of meshing with the combine with the draft. And going to that, we take a look at the top quarterbacks in the draft. Obviously Burrow, Tagovailoa, Herbert, but we had a Jordan Love from Utah State kind of, again, used the combine, not used, but, took the time from the combine and made himself stick out a little bit, made himself known that, hey, I'm ready for the NFL. Jalen Hurts and Jake Fromm as well, 2 other guys who are, kind of looking to not slip through the cracks and become the next Geno Smith or anything like that. I think Jalen Hurts there was all there was all the talk about, is he going to switch positions? And he goes, no, I'm a quarterback. That tells me that he has a great work ethic and that he wants to be a quarterback. He doesn't want to just do whatever people tell him to do. And I think you need that kind of, strong mind, and not just say, oh, well, nobody believes in me, so I better become a running back or a wide receiver. No, that's great. I just shook the table. You probably heard that. But yeah, no, it just shows that he wants to work out and he wants to become a quarterback, because that's what he is. Taking a look now at Joe Burrow, who, again, definitely will, again, there's no way that he doesn't go to the Cincinnati Bengals unless the Bengals are stupid. Again, the Bengals could very well, who knows, honestly, the Bengals could really foul this up, and it wouldn't surprise me, because that's just what the Bengals have done. And I'll talk a little bit about this later, but they have so much talent on their team, and somehow they became one of the worst teams in the league. Andy Dalton's not terrible. Joe Mixon's pretty decent. Tyler Eifert and Tyler Boyd are substantial guys as well. And I know A.J. Green was out last year with an injury, but I feel like this Bengals were able to get it done before with A.J. Green out, and I just think that this coach needs to kind of wake up in a sense. He needs to get his stuff together, because if they draft Joe Burrow, now you take, if you want to blame Andy Dalton, fine. I don't think Andy Dalton was the entire problem, but he sure is not the quarterback that he was when people were getting all hyped up about him. And I think now you take Joe Burrow and you put him in this situation with, again, a healthy A.J. Green, who they're probably most likely going to use the franchise tag on. You got Tyler Eifert, Tyler Boyd, and Joe Mixon. Take all that talent together, and then you put Joe Burrow in there, and it's almost going to be hard to fail. But again, the Cincinnati Bengals always find a way to foul things up. So, I think if they get Burrow and they have Green and everybody's healthy and everybody's ready to go, and and it's not Burrow who's playing bad, it's just the coaching, there's going to be no choice but for them to move on from their young coach. And here's the thing. It took me till like week 3 or 4 to realize that young guy was their coach. I mean, I thought it was like an assistant coach, because he looked like he was a college kid. He looked like he was my age. And, who knows? Maybe he's not ready for it yet. Maybe it took that 1 year and he's kind of learned a little bit. But Joe Burrow is definitely going to be a guy for Cincinnati that should definitely help them out a little bit. And, there was a lot of talk about, do you think Burrow will refuse to play? I don't see Joe Burrow as that guy. But things have always, you never know, I guess, but I don't see that happening. If you're looking for, a sense of where I stand on that, I don't think that Burrow will, I don't think he'll refuse to play. I don't think he'll look to trade out. He looks like, or he seems like he's a guy who just wants to play at the next level. And if that means playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, then so be it. It's part of the ride. So I think they've got something special if they draft him. Moving along to Tua, where will he go? There are a couple of different teams that that will have a legitimate chance of drafting him. And sure, you could always, if you're a team down in the lower sector of the first round, sure, you could trade up and draft him, but is it really worth it then? Is it really worth it when you have a big pool of quarterbacks that you could draft? And then free agency as well, with Brady and Rivers and the possibility of Jameis Winston. And, it seems like Winston's going to stay at Tampa Bay, but you never know. And, Dak Prescott as well could be on the move. You never know. It seems like they're going to use some kind of tag on him, exclusive tag, and I'll get to that in a little later. And Teddy Bridgewater too, how could I forget? Just a bunch of guys moving around. But the team that has the closest, the first chance of drafting him, other than the Cincinnati Bengals, that will probably take the chance if they want to, are the Detroit Lions. And, I think you take a look there, and, the Lions might draft Tua if they're worried about Stafford's health. Or sorry, not Stafford's health, if they're worried about Tua's health. Tua's a guy who's been through his fair share of injuries, and maybe they want to put him behind Stafford for a couple of years. Maybe they want Tua as the future, and they're just going to put him behind a healthy Stafford and let him learn, get healthy. Then in a few years, move on from Stafford and, build with Tua. That's an option. The LA Chargers are also in a decent position to draft Tua with a top 10 pick and moving on from Phillip Rivers. Now, what LA has that's an issue is the fact that they need a quarterback that can play right away. They don't have the luxury that the Lions do in that they have a starting quarterback that can get them through a couple more seasons and then enter the young guy who's 100% ready to go. And again, if this was Joe Burrow, sure, LA Chargers could take Joe Burrow, no problem, I think. But with Tua, you need to get him you need to make sure he's healthy. And I think, sure, maybe you could make the argument that Tua is ready to go for the NFL. But, you could also make the argument that, well, he needs some work. And that's very true. He probably does need some work. They have that issue, and the Chargers also have the issue that the Miami Dolphins have the pick before them. And again, the Dolphins are kind of in that same area that the Lions are, in that they could pick Tua and not have to play him right away. They've got Ryan Fitzpatrick. They could put Tua behind Fitzpatrick, a guy that, while he's been passed around more than the common cold, Fitzpatrick is still a solid guy. He's not a joke. He's still, he can teach you a couple of things, a thing or two. If they want to put Tua into that, again, let him get healthy, put him behind Fitzpatrick and wait till he gets healthy and establishes himself a little bit, then fine. They can do that because they have that luxury. So, taking a look now at the Chargers and Dolphins options, I kind of went over the Dolphins a little bit. Sure, they have the luxury in that they can pretty much take any of those four quarterbacks up on the board there. I think it's most likely that you see, if Tua is still available when their pick is up, I think you'll see them take Tagovailoa. I don't think, if the Lions take Tua, then I think obviously you'll see them take Herbert. In that event, the Chargers are going to need to go out in free agency and get a quarterback. And that's an event that maybe you see the Chargers trade up for Tua if they really want Tua. Or if word on the street is that the Dolphins want Herbert, maybe you see them trade with the Dolphins or trade with the Lions to get that pick. But again, I think if the Dolphins take Tua, I think Chargers could take Herbert and they'd be fine. If not, then you have to look for free agency. And with Tom Brady and Bridgewater and Phillip Rivers, the three quarterbacks that are really solid, possibly entering Ryan Tannehill even maybe is a possibility. With all that entering the free agent pool this offseason, should the Indianapolis Colts draft a quarterback or should they wait till free agency? Because Jacoby Brissett may not be their guy. While he's been pretty good, while he's a solid quarterback, is that the guy that they want to build around? I don't know. I feel like he was kind of a last option when Andrew Luck had retired. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is going to be the guy that you want to build around. I think you want to get another household name to build around, whether it's Tom Brady or Phillip Rivers. I mean, here's the thing. I think Phillip Rivers is. I don't know how many more solid years he has left in him. Teddy Bridgewater again is another one. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to be one of the most a really highly sought out free agent this offseason. Because again, there's so many teams that are looking for a quarterback right now. I mean, you got the Titans maybe with Tannehill, the Patriots, the Buccaneers could very well be looking for one. The Cowboys maybe if they don't want to sign Dak Prescott. The Chargers are in deep need of one now. The Dolphins, as always. The Bengals. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But in my take on this situation is that the Indianapolis Colts, with where they are in the draft in the first round, it really depends on what they want to do. If they want to draft a quarterback, then I think that you can go ahead and take Jordan Love from Utah State, and you'll be set. If you want to go out in free agency, it might be tough because again, there's a lot of teams that are probably going to look to free agency for a quarterback. So I think it's really interesting. Or if they want to build around Jacoby Brissett, that's fine as well. That's also another option. Now moving to the NFL draft for wide receivers. You know, I mentioned these names earlier in Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb and Ruggs. You know, I think, as I said, there are plenty of teams in need of a wide receiver. One team that I think, or all of these teams right up here right now are going to be in need of a wide receiver, and you know it's always a pretty common thing to see teams take wide receivers in the NFL draft. I think every team takes one every year, unless you're absolutely stacked. But when I'm talking about these teams right up here right now, I'm mainly looking at them to pick a wide receiver in the first 2.5 rounds, first 2 rounds. And if they don't do so, then they're going to have to kind of pick up the leftovers in the 3rd round. Because here's the thing, free agency, wide receivers. Where's the top wide receiver in free agency? Is it Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey, Brashad Perriman? I mean, I'm not really seeing a lot of big names in free agency in terms of wide receivers this summer. The first one I'm looking at is the Oakland Raiders. And here's the thing. They could really draft a good wide receiver. Start to build that talent around so that when they go and have a negotiation with Brady or Bridgewater or whoever, then they can say, you know, look, we're building talent here. We got Josh Jacobs, the running back, really solid. But, you know, again, the Raiders, who knows? Maybe they want to keep Derek Carr. Who knows? But I think the Raiders are definitely in need of a wide receiver. Another team, you look over and you're seeing the Patriots and you're saying, wow, they for the first time ever, you're seeing the Patriots like they need something. You know, they don't just have it at a premium. Yeah, the Patriots need a wide receiver. You know, 3rd down and 5, Edelman over the middle ain't cutting it anymore because everybody's starting to figure it out a little bit. Sure, you got Mohamed Sanu, and he had an injury. I get that. But I think if you can really get another wide receiver in this draft, I think you'll start to set yourself up for success, whether you have Brady or not. And again, that could be key for contract negotiations. You know, Bridgewater, Rivers, whoever, saying, you know, hey, look, we got some solid guys here, some solid wide receivers who can, you know, be something special. Philadelphia Eagles, same kind of thing. You know, you look at it and you said, well, who do they have for wide receivers? Alshon Jeffrey and Nelson Aguilar. Not cutting it. They were going to Zach Ertz a lot more than they should have, probably. But again, they were going to, and it's not just him. They were going to Dallas Goedert as well a lot. So they were going to the tight ends a lot. And I just think for the Eagles, I think it would be nice to see them pick up a big wide receiver in the 1st or 2nd round here. Buffalo Bills, again, there you go. You got two substantial names, Cole Beasley and John Brown, but those guys aren't going to get you that far. They can only do so much. And I think you're really going to need to see them pick up a third guy who could really take you far. And if they can do that, then Josh Allen could be set up for success. The Indianapolis Colts. Again, if they get a guy, a good name here, surround him with that, you can take that into contract negotiations with Rivers, Bridgewater, Brady, whomever. And you're saying, look, we're starting to build this talent. But anyway, even if they keep Jacoby Brissett, the Colts are still going to need to draft one of these bigger named wide receivers, and I think we'll see them do that. The Denver Broncos are just kind of up there because they need something. They need like one of everything. they need. I mean, they got the quarterback carousel going on out there. I don't know what quarterback they're going with next season. Running backs, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, again, they need a little bit of everything out there. So I think it'll be good to see them pick up a big name in the first couple of rounds. And then the New York Jets. I think it is probably likely that we'll see them take an offensive tackle because Sam Darnold needs protection. There's no doubt about that. Darnold also needs someone to throw to. Other than, and I'm blanking on the guy's name. What's his name? Not Callaway, I don't think. What's his name? Maybe it is Callaway, I don't know. Anyway, first round, running backs maybe? Will the Dolphins, Titans, or Seahawks take a running back? And if so, which ones? As I said earlier, I think Jonathan Taylor will be the first one. He's kind of the all-around package, and if not, J.K. Dobbins, certainly. It'll be between those two. And again, the Dolphins are kind of up there for that same reason that the Broncos were up there on the last one, is because they need a little bit of everything. And it just depends. And they have multiple first-round picks, so they could definitely take a running back somewhere. Now, for the Titans, it'll be interesting to see, do they take a running back in the first round? Do they take one at all? I think they most likely will take one somewhere in the draft, but will they take one of the bigger names? I think if the whole deal with Derrick Henry is unsolved yet, then I think what they do in the draft will tell us all we need to know about where they're going with Derrick Henry. If they draft a big name like Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins, then I think that Derrick Henry might be on his way out. Or if they kind of wait down a little bit and pick a guy up like Javon Leake or Cam Akers, maybe not one of the bigger names, then I think you might see, okay, Derrick Henry might be staying for a little while longer. The Seahawks are in need of a running back really badly, very badly, because take a look at what they had at running back last year. They had Rashad Penny and Chris Carson, and that wasn't cutting it. And if you don't believe me, then ask anyone else why they picked up Marshawn Lynch again. I mean, look, Marshawn Lynch, he's getting up there. There's no way that he was going to carry them deep into the playoffs. He was just a guy that maybe they were hoping to maybe get a couple good games out of, a couple good rushes out of, kind of pick up what they were missing in terms of production from Carson and Penny. I think each of these three teams will take a running back anyway, but it just depends. I think the Dolphins will definitely take one in the first round because they have, again, as I said, they have multiple first-round picks. And the Seahawks are kind of in a situation here because they could either pick a first-round running back, or they could wait till the second or third round to pick up a running back. But again, you got to think to yourself, what names will still be on the board? And also you got to address some other issues that they have in the defensive end. Because who knows, Jadeveon Clowney could be on his way out. And if so, then they're kind of done for in a sense. Because if they don't draft one and they don't sign one in free agency, whomever is going to be out there, who knows? But I think, I think we'll see them, if they don't pick a running back in the first round, I think you'll see them go with a defensive end player. Moving on in free agency, is Tom Brady out? Is he going to leave the New England Patriots? And there was a basketball game in Syracuse. North Carolina was playing Syracuse. And Julian Edelman and Tom Brady were at the game. And you can see in this video here, Julian Edelman goes, he's coming back. And Tom Brady kind of gives him that weird, awkward look, awkward smile, saying kind of looking at him like, would you just shut up? Like, could you shut your trap? And it's tough to tell what Brady says here. Does he say, let's not, or does he say he's not? You can't tell. But in the event that Belichick and Brady can't work out a deal, the Indianapolis Colts are certainly in this grouping of teams here that could possibly make a move for him. The Titans, if they move on from Tannehill. The Cowboys, if they don't work with Dak Prescott, which they are. But who knows? Prescott could, I don't know if Prescott wants to necessarily be franchise tagged. The Oakland Raiders, talks were going pretty well. But, again, what are they going to do with Derek Carr? And then the LA Chargers. But the problem with that is Tom Brady wants to finish his career out strong. Where's he going to go where he can win a Super Bowl? Out of those teams, I think you got to look at the Dallas Cowboys, if he even does in fact go anywhere. I'm looking at these teams, and the Titans maybe. If the Titans get Brady if they get Brady and they sign Derrick Henry and they draft the wide receiver, things could be good to go for them. But you take a look at these other teams, the Colts, the Chargers, and even the Raiders. The Raiders and the Titans are kind of in that same grouping, in where they might be able to get him in there if they go ahead and sign or draft a wide receiver, because they are going to need talent in order to draw him in. Because, again, Tom Brady wants to finish his career out strong with a Super Bowl. And I think the best place for that to happen is probably number one, Dallas, and then probably Tennessee after that. Now, moving forward to Dak Prescott. You take a look here at this spreadsheet, and the image on the right is just a zoomed in portion of the bottom left picture. Now, I want you to take a look right here, because the cap number, his total cap number on his current contract is a little over $4 million. And basically what that means is they can give him no more than that amount of money under his current contract, because adding up the bonus and the base salary. And as you see in the left picture a little bit, you can see, if you look closely, you'll see that he signed a 4-year, $2.7 million contract with the Cowboys following his selection when he got drafted. he was not allowed to renegotiate until the end of the 2018 season. Well, it's now the end of the 2019 season, and he still is not getting what he deserves. And you take a look now at this table here, and you're probably like, what are all these numbers and these names? What does that have to do anything? Well, look at where this little yellow square rectangle goes. All the way down to Dak Prescott, who under his contract is getting an average of $680,000 a year, and his total value is 2.7 mil, the contract that he signed. I don't know where to start. I really don't know where to start with this, because and I get that he couldn't renegotiate till the 2018 season. Why did they renegotiate through this year or last year? I just don't get it. Dak Prescott is worth way more than this. I mean, take a look at some of these names above him. Again, I've never heard of these names before. David Fales, Jarrett Stidham, Kyle Slaughter, Easton Stick, Ryan Griffin. I mean, who are these people? It's just ridiculous. And this is sorted by average amount of money per year. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You take a look at Dak Prescott, and maybe he's not worth the 40 mil that he's asking for. I agree with that. He's not worth that much, but he's worth a lot more than 2.7 mil contract. I mean, you should have given this guy a bonus. You should have given this guy a new contract extension as soon as the 2018 season completed, when they could renegotiate. And if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm kind of mad about that. And I'm kind of saying, you know what? Look, if it took you this long for us to start talking about a contract extension, well, why would I put myself through that again? Because it's going to happen. It's the same exact thing's going to happen. I mean, again, look at these names. How can you tell me that Matt Schaub and Geno Smith are making their average amount made per year is more than Dak Prescott? That's ridiculous to me. I mean, look, CJ Beathard's on there. CJ Beathard won the 49ers 3 games last year. You'll be lucky if you get that out of him. But you're going to tell me he's worth more than Dak Prescott? No way. No way. I mean, look, Drew Lock, who is probably going to have a decent career in the NFL. The Broncos did it right, and that number right there, the third one down from the top, tells me that Drew Lock is their guy. I mean, look at that. They gave him enough for him to be satisfied. I mean, again, just the CJ Beathard is about as good as a bag of turds, and you're going to tell me that he's making more a year than Dak Prescott? That is absolutely, I mean, that is just, it is really mind-blowing, and not in a good way. I mean, again, literally, I believe half of these names I've never heard of before. And I'm serious. Ryan Griffin, Sean Mannon, Alex Tanney, Ryan Finley, well, I've heard of his name, but David Fales, Jarrett Stidham, Kyle Slaughter, Davis Webb, Easton Stick, Garrett Gilbert. I mean, that's 10 guys that I just named that I've never seen play before. I've never heard of them before. I mean, and then there's guys that I didn't even know were still in the league, like Matt Moore, Joe Webb, Matt Schaub, Geno Smith. I mean, there's no way you can tell me that these guys should be earning more per year than Prescott. So I think the Cowboys have really messed this up. And you can't deny it. You just can't deny it. They really messed it up. Because there's no way that a 39-year-old Matt Schaub should be worth more and be making more per year than Dak Prescott. There's no way. And if you're a Cowboys fan, you gotta be looking at this and be kind of embarrassed almost. Because, I mean, again, I have no words to describe how ridiculous it is. Now, moving on to the CBA, if you're a regular listener to my weekly show on 91.7 WIXQ, you'll know that I'm not the biggest fan of the CBA because, again, it's just, I don't think it's good for football because there's no way that you need more mediocre teams in the league, not in the league, but in the playoffs. You take a look at this proposal, there would be, if you haven't listened, I think it was probably 2 weeks ago when I talked about this. Under the new proposal, there would be one more team per conference that gets in. And had they gone with that last year, the Steelers and Rams would have gotten in the playoffs. And I just don't think that teams like the Steelers and Rams should be able to have a mediocre season and get in the playoffs. I mean, here's the thing. I don't agree with how it is now, how the Eagles can have a really mediocre season, not even mediocre, like a disappointing season, but because they won the division, they still get to host a playoff game. Okay, fine, you won your division, you can get in the playoffs, but I don't agree with hosting a playoff game. That should be something that you really have to work for. And if you can just go out there and play in a bad conference and win it, a bad division and win it, then you get a home game, it kind of devalues it a little bit. And again, there's the 17-game schedule. I don't know. I don't really think that does much for me. I like how the season is now, how week 17, you get matchups where you win, you're in, you lose, you're out, or you need all these different scenarios to happen. I like that. I don't think you should get one more game to kind of reshuffle things a little bit. Because again, who knows? If we had one more week of last season, who knows if the Titans would have even gotten in the playoffs. And they almost went to the Super Bowl. And when I say almost, I mean they were in the AFC Championship game. But the playoff format would take effect, I think, as early as next year, and the 17-game schedule would take effect as soon as 2021. And in that 2021 schedule change, you would also see the preseason taken down to 3 weeks instead of 4. And here's the thing. Even 3 weeks of preseason is too much for me. I think you only need 2. The first week of preseason is exciting because you get to watch NFL football for the first time in a while, a really long time. Week 2, you're still kind of like, all right, this is cool. And then week 3 and 4, you're like, when's the real stuff start again? And this is ridiculous. So they're on the right track with the 3-game preseason proposal, but I think it needs to be cut down to 2. And also under the new CBA proposal would be this new exclusive franchise tag, and then you still have the normal franchise tag. So there's 2 franchise tags now. You might hear the exclusive, you might hear the term transition tag thrown around. That is the exclusive tag that I'm referring to. And the exclusive franchise tag is about as simple as it sounds, in the fact that it is just a franchise tag. That means you have exclusive rights to the guy that you signed it to. And right now, the word on the street is that is what the Cowboys are interested in doing with Prescott, is signing him to this exclusive franchise tag. And so, the way that teams are kind of strategizing their free agency, what they're going to do in free agency it kind of all depends on whether the CBA gets passed, whether it gets signed off and all that, because it could change everything. If this happens, you might see a team like the Ravens sign Matt Judon to a franchise, do the exclusive franchise tag. Who knows? Maybe the Patriots do that with Tom Brady. Who knows? But I think that with the Cowboys wanting to do this again, as I said, if I'm Dak Prescott, I'm sure he knows that he is well underpaid, and that's why he wants that $40 million. And honestly, I don't think he really wants $40 million. What I think he wants is he wanted to say that he wanted Jerry Jones to kind of freak out and be like, "Oh, we're not paying you that, no way," and then that way he can go on and leave and look for somewhere else to play. I think that is why he went on and said, I want $40 million. He wanted $40 million so that Jerry Jones started getting all flustered and said, no, we can't offer you that. But now with this tag that could be implemented in the new CBA, the Cowboys, again, word on the streets, the Cowboys want to use that on Prescott. And again, if I'm Prescott, I would not be happy with that because that is terrible. So, excuse me. That will. There you go. That's my my brief thoughts on the CBA. Again, if you're a regular listener on the weekly program, then you will know that I'm not the biggest fan of the CBA proposal. And again, I think the NFL is fine where it is. It's not in deep need of an overhaul. It's not in need of a massive upgrade. They are fine where they are. And I hope that in this effort to kind of make things better, and that's their kind of main goal in this, I hope that they don't really screw things up and, make the NFL worse. I really hope that doesn't happen, because if it does, that would be a real shame. It really would be a real shame to see that. But again, we've got Roger Goodell steering the ship, so I think we're in good hands. Not. Roger Goodell will definitely find a way to screw this up. Definitely. He will definitely find a way to mess this up. Because, you know why? Because that's what Roger Goodell does. And again, going back to that Cowboys thing, one more quick thought on that. Prescott not only deserves more money than what he's getting paid, it's essential. And you know why I say that? Because Dak Prescott is way better than all the other quarterbacks on that list. And he's not just better, he blows them out of the water. There's no way, as I said before, there's no way that Matt Schaub should be getting more money than Dak Prescott. It's ridiculous. Why doesn't the CBA do something about that? About cheating guys out of money that they really deserve? Instead, they're worried about a 17-game schedule and one more team from each conference getting in the playoffs. As I said before, Roger Goodell is not going to do much to help things, because I'm not a big fan of Roger Goodell. Let me just put it that way. He's definitely done his fair share of ridiculous things. So, with that being said, we're going to wrap up the first episode of the 4th hour on the Mike's Madness YouTube channel. And again, I apologize for the echo. I know how bad it is, but I'm gonna look for other options here, other places to record. I hope it wasn't too bad, because I'm hoping I'm using a good app. But anyway, this again has been the first episode of the 4th hour on the Mike's Madness YouTube channel. If you're looking for more content, you can go to my Twitter page at Mike's Madness MU. And again, this has been, or actually, really quickly, I know I said tune into the weekly show. I will not be on for next week because I'll be down in Maryland for the Maryland Michigan game, and then the week after that is spring break, and the week after that is still spring break, and then I'll be back on the 29th. But don't worry, I will definitely be uploading some content to this YouTube channel to kind of supplement things and kind of make sure that I'm not just leaving a 3 week gap, because that would be way less than ideal. So this may be the last fourth hour for a while because I'm not going to have the normal 3 hour program for a while, but I will definitely be having other content on the channel. So stay tuned for that. And again, you can always go follow me on Twitter at Mike's Madness MU and have updates on what's going on. So again, this has been the fourth hour on the Mike's Madness YouTube channel. Thank you for listening. If you did enjoy, I would deeply appreciate a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if there's anything that I had said in here that you have a question about, hit the comment section. If you have you have a thought on anything I said, hit the comment section. If if you have a thought on any of the topics that I talked about, hit the comment section. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. Again, last time here, this has been the fourth hour on the Mike's Madness YouTube channel.